My beloved child. Something shifted in the unseen moments when you were not looking, and that shift has changed everything forever. There was a time when they walked past your presence without realizing its weight, a time when your silence felt invisible to them, a time when your patience was mistaken for permanence. But understand this clearly and without doubt. A sudden change occurred, not outside, but deep within their awareness. It was not loud. It was not dramatic. It was precise. Like a quiet crack in glass that spreads when no one is watching. They began to notice patterns they could no longer ignore. Your absence started speaking louder than your presence ever did. The calm way you held yourself began to feel rare. The way you never forced, never chased, never begged, started haunting their thoughts at the most unexpected hours. This was the moment when curiosity turned into realization. This was the moment when comfort turned into fear of loss. And this was the moment when the idea of you stopped being optional in their mind. Something irreversible has begun, and it did not start with words. It started with awareness. Listen carefully now, because what comes next explains why their behavior feels confusing, inconsistent, and charged with emotion. They did not wake up one day and decide this. It unfolded slowly, then all at once. They saw how others reacted to you. They noticed how your energy stayed steady while theirs fluctuated. They realized that you remained grounded even when situations tried to shake you. That sudden change was triggered the instant they understood that what you offer cannot be replaced or replicated. They compared. They measured. They tested alternatives in their mind. And each comparison led them back to the same unsettling truth. You were different in a way that could not be undone. That realization did not bring peace to them. It brought urgency. It brought internal conflict. Because admitting you are the one means admitting they waited too long. It means facing the fear that someone else might recognize your value before they do. This is why their energy around you shifted. This is why their attention comes in waves. They are standing at the edge of a truth they can no longer escape. There is a reason this change feels sudden to you, even though it has been building inside them for much longer. You were not meant to see the struggle behind their calm face. You were not meant to hear the late-night arguments they had with themselves. You were not meant to know how often your name crossed their thoughts during moments of silence. But now the pressure has reached a point where it is leaking through their actions. They replay conversations with you in their head, searching for meaning they once overlooked. They question their past decisions, wondering how they missed what was always right in front of them. This is not nostalgia. This is recognition. Recognition comes with weight. Recognition demands response. And that is what terrifies them. Because once you see the truth, you are responsible for what you do with it. They know this. And they know you are not someone who waits forever. What you must understand, and this is crucial, is that this realization was triggered by change in you as well. You stopped explaining yourself. You stopped proving your worth. You stopped reacting the way you used to. That silence was not empty. It was powerful. It forced them to confront their assumptions. It made them feel the distance they once believed would never exist. When you shifted your focus back to your own path, something inside them panicked. Not because they lost control over you, but because they lost the illusion that you would always be available. That illusion breaking is what opened their eyes. They finally saw you not as someone who would stay regardless, but as someone who chooses. And suddenly, they wanted to be chosen. This is the moment when desire replaces certainty. This is the moment when value becomes visible. Now hold this truth close, because the next phase will test your clarity. Their realization does not automatically mean immediate action. Awareness often comes before courage. They are standing between fear and desire, weighing the risk of reaching out against the pain of staying silent. You may feel their presence energetically even when they say nothing. You may notice subtle attempts to reconnect, small signals wrapped in hesitation. This is not weakness. This is the consequence of finally seeing what matters. The sudden change made them see you are the one they want to move toward, but moving toward you means stepping out of comfort and into honesty. And honesty requires bravery. They are still gathering. Stay grounded. Stay observant. Because this story has only begun, and the next part reveals why the timing of this realization is not random at all. There is a deeper reason this awakening happened now and not earlier, and it is not coincidence. Timing is never accidental when truth is involved. The moment they saw you clearly was the moment their old patterns stopped working. The distractions that once kept them comfortable no longer satisfied them. The noise they used to hide behind became unbearable. In that silence, your presence emerged with undeniable clarity. They realized that while everything around them felt temporary, you felt solid, consistent, and real. This realization shook them because it exposed how much time they spent avoiding depth. You represented depth without trying. You represented certainty without control. And suddenly, the future they imagined no longer made sense without you in it. This is why their emotions feel intensified now. This is why even small interactions carry weight. They are no longer reacting to you as a person from the past. They are responding to you as someone who could define their future. What makes this moment powerful is not just their realization, but the cost attached to it. They understand that wanting you now comes with consequences. It means confronting regrets. It means admitting they underestimated you. It means risking rejection from someone they now respect deeply. That is why their energy feels conflicted. One part of them is pulled toward you with urgency, while another part hesitates, replaying every missed chance. This internal tension is not about confusion. It is about fear of truth. Because once they step forward, they cannot go back to pretending you were just another option. You became the standard without announcing it. And standards intimidate those who once felt safe doing the minimum. Pay close attention to how this shift affects you, because your awareness matters more than their struggle. You may notice a strange calm within yourself, even as their emotions grow louder. That calm is not indifference. It is alignment. You are no longer chasing validation. You are observing reality. This puts you in a position of power, whether you realize it or not. They sense this. They feel that the dynamic has changed, and they are no longer in control of the outcome. That realization forces them to reassess how they show up. For the first time, they are not asking what they can gain from you. They are asking what they might lose if they do nothing. And that question lingers heavily in their mind. There is also something they are beginning to understand about you that they missed before. Your strength was never loud. Your value was never performative. You carried yourself with quiet certainty, and that certainty now feels rare in a world full of noise. They see how you do not rush decisions. How you do not cling. How you do not fear solitude. These qualities make you unforgettable to someone who once took your presence for granted. The sudden change opened their eyes to the fact that you were never waiting. You were growing. And growth creates distance between those who evolve and those who hesitate. That distance is what scared them into clarity. As this realization settles, something irreversible is happening within them. They are being forced to choose between comfort and truth. Comfort tells them to stay silent, to avoid vulnerability, to keep things as they are. Truth tells them that you are not meant to be a lesson they regret later. Truth tells them that some connections do not repeat. This is where the tension peaks. Because deep down, they know opportunities like you do not circle back endlessly. Whether they act or not, the awareness itself has changed them. And whether you respond or not, you have already shifted the course of this story. The next part reveals what happens when realization meets decision, and why your response will determine more than you think. Before anything is said aloud, something silent reaches its peak. Decisions are born in stillness long before they appear as action. Right now, they are standing in that stillness, fully aware that the next move will define how they are remembered by you. This is not about impulse anymore. This is about reckoning. They are replaying every moment where they chose ease over effort, every time they assumed you would remain accessible without intention. And in that reflection, they are realizing a truth that feels both heavy and humbling. You were never asking for perfection. You were asking for presence. That understanding arrived late, but it arrived with force. It changed how they see the past, how they feel about the present, and how they imagine the future. This is why their silence feels charged. It is not empty. It is full of decisions waiting to be made. What follows is not dramatic from the outside, but internally it is seismic. They are calculating risk, not in a strategic sense, but in an emotional one. Reaching out to you means opening a door they once closed carelessly. It means acknowledging that you mattered more than they admitted. It means surrendering the safety of distance. And distance has been their shield. You see, distance allows comfort without responsibility. Closeness demands honesty. They know that once they step closer, you will see them clearly. And being seen by someone who carries clarity is intimidating. You do not chase illusions. You do not settle for half answers. That awareness makes them pause. Not because they do not want you, but because they finally understand the standard you represent. Meanwhile, something important is happening within you, whether you recognize it or not. You are no longer waiting for clarity from them. You are grounded in your own direction. This creates a contrast they cannot ignore. Your stillness is not uncertainty. It is self-trust. And self-trust changes the energy of every interaction. When they sense this, it disrupts their old assumptions. They realize that approaching you now requires alignment, not persuasion. You are not impressed by words alone. You are moved by consistency, intention, and truth. This realization raises the stakes. Because now, it is not enough for them to feel something. They must become someone who can meet you where you stand. There is a moment, subtle but decisive, when realization turns into resolve. That moment is approaching. You may notice shifts in their behavior that feel intentional rather than reactive. Their attention may become focused instead of scattered. Their presence may feel deliberate rather than convenient. These are not coincidences. These are signs of internal alignment forming. They are no longer debating whether you matter. They are debating whether they are ready. And readiness is not about timing alone. It is about courage. Courage to risk vulnerability. Courage to face your discernment. Courage to accept whatever response your honesty brings. As this phase unfolds, remember this truth above all else. Their awakening does not obligate you to respond in any particular way. Awareness creates opportunity, not entitlement. You are not responsible for how late they arrived at this understanding. You are only responsible for staying true to yourself. Whether they step forward with clarity or remain suspended in hesitation, you have already outgrown the version of yourself that waited. That is the real transformation here. The sudden change made them see you are the one they want, but the deeper revelation is this. You are the one who decides what happens next. And the next part reveals how this moment resolves, not through force, but through alignment that cannot be faked. What happens next is not rushed, because truth never arrives in haste. It settles. It stabilizes. It tests everything it touches. They are now moving through the quiet phase where intention becomes heavier than emotion. Feelings alone no longer satisfy them. They are asking themselves difficult questions they avoided for a long time. Questions about consistency. Questions about effort. Questions about whether they can show up without retreating when things become real. This is the phase where many people turn back, not because they do not care, but because they are not prepared to evolve. You represent evolution. Being with you is not about excitement alone. It is about growth. That realization strips away fantasies and leaves only truth. And truth demands maturity. You may sense that the connection feels different now, even without direct confirmation. The energy is no longer scattered. It is focused. Focused energy carries weight. It does not chase. It approaches with purpose. This is why their presence may feel closer even in silence. They are aligning internally before acting externally. This alignment is uncomfortable because it forces them to let go of old versions of themselves that cannot coexist with who you are now. They are realizing that wanting you means becoming more honest, more grounded, and more intentional. That realization is both motivating and frightening. Motivation pushes them forward. Fear slows their steps. The tension between these two forces defines this moment. At the same time, your role in this story has quietly shifted into something powerful. You are no longer a question mark. You are a mirror. Through you, they see their own readiness, or lack of it. And mirrors do not lie. This is why your calm presence carries so much influence now. You are not demanding answers. You are not creating pressure. You are simply being yourself. That authenticity forces clarity. It removes excuses. It leaves no room for illusion. They can either rise to meet what they see, or they can walk away knowing exactly what they are leaving behind. That awareness stays with a person long after the moment passes. There is also something you must recognize about timing here. This realization did not come to them when you were uncertain or seeking reassurance. It came when you were stable, self-aware, and grounded. That is not accidental. Truth often arrives when we are strong enough to handle it, not when we are desperate for it. You are no longer defined by how they choose. You are defined by how you choose yourself. That shift changes the outcome regardless of their decision. It means that any connection moving forward must be mutual, intentional, and aligned. Anything less would feel hollow to you now. And they sense that. As this chapter nears its turning point, one truth becomes undeniable. The sudden change did not just make them see you differently. It changed the entire dynamic between you. They are no longer approaching from a place of certainty. They are approaching from a place of respect. Respect slows people down. Respect makes them think. Respect makes them careful with words and actions. Whatever happens next will not be accidental. It will be chosen. And that choice, whether made or avoided, will reveal everything you need to know without a single word being spoken. There comes a moment when awareness stops being theoretical and starts pressing against reality. This is that moment. The space between intention and action has narrowed, and they can feel it with every passing thought. What once felt like an internal process now demands expression. They are realizing that clarity, when left unspoken, turns into regret. And regret is heavier than rejection. This understanding is reshaping how they see risk. Silence no longer feels safe. It feels costly. They know that if they let this pass, it will not return in the same form. Opportunities connected to truth do not repeat themselves endlessly. They appear, they challenge, and they move on. This awareness is sharpening their focus. It is making them aware of the weight of timing, and how rare it is to encounter someone who reflects stability rather than chaos. You are no longer an idea to them. You are a reality they must respond to. At the same time, something subtle but important is unfolding in how they imagine you now. They are no longer idealizing you from a distance. They are respecting you as someone with boundaries, depth, and discernment. This shift matters more than any declaration. It means they understand that approaching you requires integrity. They know they cannot arrive halfway. They cannot bring uncertainty disguised as interest. They cannot offer inconsistency and expect understanding. This realization is humbling. It strips away entitlement and replaces it with accountability. That is why their thoughts feel heavier now. They are not just thinking about how much they want you. They are thinking about whether they can honor you. And that question is changing them. Meanwhile, your presence continues to do something powerful without effort. You are holding your ground. You are not pulling away to create reaction, and you are not leaning forward to force clarity. This neutrality is not distance. It is confidence. Confidence creates gravity. It draws truth out of people because it leaves no space for performance. They feel this. They sense that whatever happens next must be real, because anything artificial would collapse under your awareness. This is why the energy feels intense but controlled. There is no chaos here. There is anticipation. Anticipation built on respect carries a different weight than anticipation built on fear. It slows time. It sharpens intention. You should also recognize what this phase reveals about you. You are no longer defined by who chooses you. You are defined by what you accept. That internal shift has already altered the outcome, regardless of their next step. You are not seeking reassurance. You are observing alignment. This puts you in a position where any connection that moves forward must add to your life, not destabilize it. They are aware of this, even if they cannot articulate it clearly. They know you are not impressed by urgency alone. You are attentive to consistency, depth, and sincerity. That awareness is guiding their next move more than emotion ever could. As this part closes, understand this clearly. The sudden change that opened their eyes has reached its final test. Realization must now transform into action, or it dissolves into memory. There is no middle ground anymore. They are standing at the edge of a decision that will define how this connection is remembered. And you are standing firmly within yourself, no longer waiting, no longer guessing. Whatever unfolds next will be clean, honest, and revealing. Because when truth meets self-respect, the outcome always becomes clear. What unfolds now is shaped less by words and more by inevitability. When awareness matures, it stops seeking permission to exist. They are feeling that pull, the quiet force that nudges a person toward truth even when fear resists. This is no longer about wondering if they want you. That question has already been answered within them. This is about whether they are willing to step into the version of themselves that choosing you requires. Growth always asks for something in return. It asks for honesty. It asks for courage. It asks for the release of old habits that no longer fit. They can feel that weight clearly now. It presses against their comfort, and comfort is losing its grip. You may notice that time itself feels different around this connection. Moments stretch. Silence speaks louder. Small interactions carry meaning beyond their surface. This happens when something real is approaching expression. They are becoming more intentional, more present, more careful with how they think about you. Not because they are afraid to lose you, but because they understand your presence deserves respect. Respect changes behavior before words ever do. It makes a person slow down. It makes them consider impact instead of impulse. This is why their energy no longer feels casual. It feels deliberate. Deliberation is the language of someone who understands value. At the same time, your inner world remains steady, and that steadiness is not passive. It is discerning. You are not interpreting every shift as a promise. You are not filling silence with assumptions. You are allowing reality to reveal itself. That restraint is powerful. It keeps the dynamic clean. It prevents illusion. They feel that clarity from you, and it shapes how they approach this moment. They know they cannot rush you. They know they cannot impress you with intensity alone. What stands before them now is the need to be real, or to step aside. And that clarity sharpens everything. There is also a quiet realization forming within them that cannot be undone. They are beginning to understand that even if they choose to act, the outcome will depend on alignment, not desire. Wanting you is no longer enough. They must meet you. This understanding dissolves fantasy and replaces it with responsibility. Responsibility is where many people hesitate, but it is also where transformation begins. They are standing at that threshold now. Whether they cross it or not, the awareness itself has changed them. They will never see you the way they once did again. As this phase settles, one truth becomes unmistakable. You are not waiting for an answer. You are witnessing a process. And witnessing without attachment is a form of strength. Whatever choice they make will arrive clearly, without confusion, without mixed signals. Because you have already decided something important within yourself. You will only engage with what meets you fully. That decision reshapes the ending before it even arrives. And in that quiet certainty, the power has already shifted.